Sometimes video game makers choose to make their protagonists silent, and there are good reasons for doing that. After all, a non-speaking protagonist might let you really immerse yourself in a game, letting you play the central role instead of feeling like you're moving around another fully voiced and characterized person. Or hey, maybe Nintendo just wanted to spend the budget for Link's voice acting down the pub. Either way, the eerie lack of speech from a protagonist normally passes without comment from in-game companions, but occasionally you'll pick up a little sass for staying so weirdly quiet. Consider these times your silence was officially noted, and along the way beware spoilers for the following.
You know the music, time to dance.
The Halo series isn't really known for its chatty protagonists. I mean, just look at Master Chief, those helmet comms aren't picking up anything. Even in those moments, he'd definitely be screaming under that visor. In Halo 3 ODST, we jumped into the armour of the Rookie, who was also a bit on the quiet side. Well, they are called the Rookie. I mean, everyone's a bit shy when they first start a new job, or in your case, asleep. But though your fellow trooper Romeo readies you for the mission by bashing you awake, Corporal Taylor Dutch Henry Miles respects the taciturn ways of a Halo protagonist and says, handing you a silenced SMG,
pays to be the strong, silent type.
See what you did there? It was a silenced gun and we're quite... Oh, we do have fun in these Space Wars, don't we? The Rookie's silence is also noted by Buck, aka the most handsome Spartan to have ever existed. Prove me wrong, Master Chief. In the Halo 3 ODST vidoc, Desperate Measures. In it, he explains why he chose each team member to join him on the mission. When it comes to the Rookie, he says,
Not exactly green. No ODST is. If I didn't think he could do the job, I wouldn't have him on my 6. He doesn't say much, but I don't care. I just need him to listen.
That's fair enough, but I'm not sure I would feel comfortable working with someone who, when falling to the earth at a high velocity, manages to maintain a stony silence.
On my mark. What did he just say? Mark. We're way off course. We're heading exactly where I need to go.
Maybe he's passed out.
In Bioshock, you don't hear protagonist Jack say anything, except for right at the beginning when he quotes this thing that his parents told him.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
Then, as you progress through the game, Jack's wordlessness becomes more notable as he struggles with splicers, big daddies, little sisters, and various murderous artists and scientists, all trying to make his trip to Rapture as unrapturous as possible.
No need to thank me.
It's almost as if being plunged into a dystopian city under the sea where a bunch of people warped by drugs and experimental surgery and want to kill you might affect how talkative you are. Even those people he chats with via the radio have no idea if he's heard them.
What happened to you? I've been trying to raise you for a dog's age.
Jack. Hotel India, do you acknowledge Whiskey Tango Foxtrot? Jack, are you even there? Hello? Speak to me, man. Still, Jack manages to whack, shock and explode his way to Andrew Ryan, who he summarily kills.
Obey!
But then, playing as a Big Daddy in Bioshock 2, you can stumble across a rather strange tape left by Father Simon Wales, a follower of Sophia Lamb.
Lord, what more do you wish of me? Your wretch of a servant waits for word. I have followed the letter of the Holy Mother Lamb, though she will not tell me the day of your return. I watched as you smote down the false father, Andrew Ryan, who tempted us away from your radiant gaze. But ye would not speak to me, Lord. I have built for you this great temple, and gathered your flock, yet still you were silent.
The Bioshock series loves its religious analogies, with its dubious heroes always being mistaken for gods or false shepherds.
Now, where'd you get that brand, boy? Don't you know that makes you the backstabbing snake in the grass false shepherd?
The tape from Wales definitely suggests he's talking about Jack. It even suggests that Wales may have seen Jack smoting the heck out of Andrew Ryan and being conspicuously conversation-proof. To be honest, mate, he is just a bloke with a crowbar in a situation he never expected to be in. You're not going to get much out of him.
Speaking of dudes who love crowbars, how about Gordon Freeman from the Half-Life series, one of the most iconic protagonists to keep stum through hours of bitter adversity. In all his fighting of face-eating crab monsters, old Gordon doesn't utter a single word. Still, that's more than Valve has said about Half-Life 3 recently. The one free man stays fiercely stoic, although perhaps it's because he'd just rather focus on not falling off the roofs of buildings and obediently putting old cans in the bin.
Thank you for your concern. Of course, your question touches on one of the basic biological impulses.
I think that would have recycled Gordon. Happily, Half-Life's supporting cast are sassy enough to make up for Gordon being more muted than my TV when the voice is on. None of them are more fiery than Alex Vance, who helps Gordon escape a particularly nasty Combine raid on a tenement house.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
And although everyone else might be happy to humour you, Alex can't help but point out how weird it is that you're, you know, constantly and totally speechless.
Man of few words, aren't you?
Gordon, she's being super polite, just a hi or a laugh or something. Come on, you're embarrassing us, man.
Oh, and by the way, nice to finally meet you.
And nice to meet you too. Seriously, manners cost nothing. Okay, new idea for Half-Life 3.
Hello? Go on. Ha! Ah! Oh, God. You look good.
The folks over at Valve are very good at self-referential, self-deprecating humour that video game lovers will really appreciate the nuances of. Smartasses. Not only does Gordon Freeman get fun poked to him in the Half-Life games, but in Valve's other fan favourite series Portal, they also point out how untalky protagonist Chell is. Dialogue in the first Portal mainly consists of GLaDOS sassing you as you complete the puzzles, with Chell silently following your directions.
Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
Even when fighting GLaDOS at the end, Chell says nothing, defeating a giant homicidal AI with the same quiet dignity as Nelson Mandela might, I imagine, bring to bear while defeating a giant homicidal AI. So, years later, when our girl Chell is awoken in Portal 2, we're not expecting her to talk, but our little robot helper Wheatley, voiced with the perfect level of quiet panic by Stephen Merchant, is more concerned by her silence.
Do you understand what I'm saying at all? Does any of this make any sense? Just tell me, just say yes.
Now, being a silent protagonist makes speaking tricky, but being good obedient players, we do what the button prompt tells us.
Okay, what you're doing there is jumping. You just jumped.
There's no speak button, Wheatley, and you didn't seem to notice when I put on my headset mic and called you a spherical idiot. Alright, in fairness, Wheatley's is a pretty reasonable response to someone saying literally nothing to you and instead just silently moving around as if they're being controlled by someone else. Which, I mean, would be pretty weird. I mean, you know. Wait.
In the very first Pokemon game, you play yet another silent protagonist. Maybe it's because you're awed by the majesty of a world where humans live in harmony with fantastical creatures, or perhaps it's because your rival never lets you get a word in edgewise, even after you've just sent his Squirtle to intensive care 2 minutes into the game. You may not have much to say, but happily everyone else in the Kanto region is a real chatty Cathy, especially the other trainers you come up against. And it's through the medium of trainer battles that the Pokemon series itself points a huge foam finger at the fact that you never talk. At the very end of sequels Pokemon Gold and Silver, you face off against Trainer Red, aka you, in the last game. Red's lack of conversational flair from that game is referenced in his pre-battle chat, in which he says, "Come on, Red, that's not exactly killer trash talk." Although that stony ellipsis does kind of suggest that he's staring right into your soul and the souls of all your Pokemon, and he doesn't like what he sees. Incidentally, Red doesn't get any more vocal, still saying nothing at all when he makes a cameo appearance in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Yeah, it might look cool in Pokemon fights, but I'd like to see how he makes small talk with his hairdresser. You going on holiday this year? What do you do?
One silent leading man very close to our hearts is the hero of the Legend of Zelda series, a little champ called Link, or whatever you choose to name him. So childish. The most we ever hear from our favourite floppy hat-wearing member of the Triforce is the odd grunt of overexertion when he's running around the world, jumping around the world, or destroying things around the world. At least he's quieter than Navi.
Hey, listen!
I am listening. You're right in my ear. How could I not be listening? I'm always listening. Assume I'm listening. Everyone seems to tolerate Link's curious silence, except that is for Midna, Link's feisty accomplice in Twilight Princess. She comes from the Twilight Realm, a dimension rich in Sastonium, the elemental form of sass. At the game's conclusion, Midna regains her true form, including the rad eyebrows it must have been hellish to live without. Turning to Link, she takes the opportunity to poke a little fun at his permanent silence. Okay, Link, if ever there was a time to speak up, it's now. Say something cool and heroic. Close enough.
This way, upstairs! Do you hear something? No. That is why I am suspicious. Move carefully, comrades.
In the Call of Duty series, we're used to playing as characters that don't really say much. We spend a lot of time mutely following orders, being shouted at us over comms or by some officer nearby. A bit like working for Outside Xbox.
Silence!
When playing as Dimitri in World at War, whilst you're crawling through the remains of a burnt-out building, some of the soldiers around you start complaining about the smoke.
Stay low! The smoke can steal your breath. I can barely see! I can hardly breathe!
Fair enough, you'd think. I mean, I never go down the Outside Xbox video mines without my breathing gear.
We said you weren't allowed to use breathing gear.
Damn it. Sergeant Reznov, though, basically tells those smoky crybabies to hush up.
Just keep low! In Stalingrad, Dmitri and I go through many smoke-filled buildings. Do you hear him complaining?
No, they don't hear me complaining, Reznov, but Dmitri would definitely be filing a complaint with HR if he could talk. Oh, for goodness sakes, it's happening again.
Why don't you complain to the HR department?
No, there isn't one. Someone keeps setting it on fire, Jane.
I saw this man cheat death, time after time at the siege of Stalingrad. As long as he lives, the heart of this army cannot be broken.
Ah, Luke, I seem to imply from your silence that you're saying those were the silent protagonists who got called out for their silence. You seem to go on to say that you can watch more videos like this by clicking on one of these two boxes here on the screen. The one at the top is from Outside Xtra, your silence seems to say, and the one underneath that is an Outside Xbox video that people will also enjoy, and they should click on that as well. Wow, your silence really spoke volumes.